Well, I'd like to see the evidence.
Okay,
would that be any harm?
If I can put it to you that there is an official HSE website giving government information based on the current legislation.
Well, not true. No, they're not.
There's a My Options website. There's a My Options website, and then there's your website.
They're not giving. This website is fake. We're the true, and they're the fake.
Okay.
You know what the difference between true and fake is?
I'm aware, yes.
So, when I say somebody's fake is if somebody says abortion is a service, and they don't say this is what happened.
Are you filming me now?
Yes.
Would you mind not filming me?
Well, you're taping me, so it shouldn't be any problem.
Do you mind if we just do audio recordings?
Any reason?
Well, you started filming there without asking me if it was okay.
Okay, I'll put the camera on me. Would that be all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can you just tell me if it's on correctly there?
Yeah, sure.
I
can. Yeah, no, that's fine.
So basically, if a website claims to be My Options, telling people about abortion information, and they're not telling them this, for example. This is a 21-week-old baby. Can you look at the baby? Can you look at the picture?
I've seen the picture. You showed me the picture earlier.
So what do you think of that? Is that information that a woman should be told?
I'm taking this as a rhetorical question.
No, I'm asking you, should a woman be told this before having an abortion?
I said at the outset of this conversation, I didn't intend to have a debate. I'm here to learn about your campaign and learn about your mission.
A fake website is one who doesn't tell women this is the truth about abortion. So they're deceiving women. We tell women the truth.
Do you intend to leave your website up?
Why not?
Do you intend to?
Absolutely. Okay. We're perfectly within the law, in the European law, isn't that correct? So under European law, there's no such thing as a monopoly, whether it's government or otherwise. Isn't that true?
May I ask you about the ultrasound services? Are you offering ultrasound training services to GPs?
So let's go back to our whole mission and explain how we proceed. When a person goes onto our website, get there. Are you in a hurry?
No. I'm just, there's a couple of facts that I'm trying to ascertain, and I'm aware that you have a broader mission, and you're going to want to make general points. So I'm just trying to define.
I don't know what your agenda is. I know you have a particular anti-life agenda in the journal. You've never once presented the truth, for example, about the link between abortion and breast cancer. Can you see this graph? Do you know what it says?
Well, I've written many stories
which were inaccurate, and you didn't look at the research. But here you have two groups of rats that were pregnant under the same circumstances. Both groups were aborted. One group was aborted, the other gave birth. Okay? The ones who gave birth, you see that 0% got breast cancer. How many of those who were aborted got breast cancer, would you think, would be significant? What percentage would be significant?
You tell me.
Just throw any figure out. Just throw a figure out.
No, you tell me.
Well, would 10% be significant?
You tell me.
I'm asking you, what would a reasonable person think? Would 20% be significant? If you were a researcher, I come from a scientific background, and I would say 20% is really significant.
What is your scientific background?
Can you answer the question, is 20% significant?
To be honest, I wasn't really listening to the question.
Okay, the question is, if 0% of rats that gave birth under the same circumstances as rats that were aborted, 0% got breast cancer who gave birth, how many of those that were aborted got breast cancer?
Sorry, I'm not really sure it's a clear question.
Okay, you have two groups, say 100 in each group.
Yeah.
And both were pregnant. One group gave birth naturally.
Yeah.
They were both under the same conditions. The ones who gave birth, none of them got cancer.
Yeah.
Of the ones who were aborted, from a scientific point of view, what would achieve significance? A minimum percentage that you would expect to say that is significant. Would it be 10%?
Who carried out the study?
I'll give you all the details in 1 second. I just want an honest answer.
I'm going to need to know who carried out the study.
Okay, I'll tell you. But if you were a scientist, which you're not, and even a person with normal common sense, which you may be,
thank you,
would say 20% would be significant. Would you agree?
Well, continue with your point.
What figure do you see here written on this graph?
Well, make your point. Go on.
What's the figure? You can read English?
Well, I'm hoping to speak to you about ultrasound, so I don't really want to start talking about this at all.
It's a free country still.
Yeah,
so you see that number? You see the number here? Can you read it?
Yeah, continue with your point. I saw your T-shirt.
77%.
Yeah.
So
who carried out this study?
Russo and Russo, 1984.
Russo and Russo.
Yeah, he's done a number of studies on rats and breast cancer and HCG.
Okay.
In fact, they then proposed using HCG as an anti-breast cancer treatment.
And is this study widely regarded and accepted?
It's a published peer-reviewed research, along with the over 100 other studies on the link between abortion and breast cancer.
Okay.
So, do you know what HCG is?
HCG? HCG. In which context?
It's a hormone which gives you a positive result in a pregnancy test. That's what the pregnancy test measures. So they have been proposing using HCG treatment as a protection against breast cancer. In other words, they try to simulate pregnancy because of its protective effects against breast cancer.
May I ask you about the ultrasound?
Let's get there. We'll get there.
That was my initial question, and we seem to be getting there for a few minutes.
What's the time frame for you?
Well, I was hoping to have a chat for around half an hour.
Okay. What time is it now?
It is 1:10 now, and I met you upstairs at 1:15.
Okay.
But I'm interested, if this is a service that you're offering, I'd like to hear more about it.
Yeah,
I'm sure people would like to hear more about it.
Okay. This is a letter that we're sending to all the GPs around the country at the moment.
Okay.
2,500. But the reason why we're doing this is under the law, Section 21 of the Act. Have you read the new Act?
I have not read the whole Act, no.
Have you read any of it?
I've read plenty of it.
Have you read Section 21?
What is Section 21?
Okay. Section 21 says that, and the offences, any offence against the Act, do you know the penalty?
Yes.
14 years imprisonment?
Okay.
Yeah? Am I correct?
Well, carry on making your point. You seem to be asking me a lot of questions as you make your point.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay.
So, just from your reaction to me, you've no interest in the fact that there's a significant link between abortion and breast cancer and how that not just affects rats but also women. And that would seem to me to be somebody who didn't have an agenda would be interested in. But if you have a particular agenda, you don't care about women.
Well, I'm interested in all the studies about it.
Yeah, well, I'll give you all the studies if you want to. There's over 115 studies, and right up to 2016, I can give them.
There are many studies.
Name one.
Giving an entirely opposite point of view.
Name one. Come on, give me one.
There are dozens of studies that have been endorsed by the American Cancer Society, the Irish Cancer Society, cancer societies around the world.
Dozens? You're saying there's a dozen studies?
No, look. Can you tell me about the ultrasound?
Yeah, well, you're not on. You just don't know what you're talking about. There are not dozens of studies. The vast majority of studies worldwide show a link between abortion, induced elective abortion, and breast cancer. Studies. I'll just give you one quote. If you don't believe me, you believe the London Times. Surely you believe something as reputable as the Looney Times. The London Times, before it went crazy, back in 2001, right? And I'll give you the date, the 17th of May 2001, Dr. Thomas Stuttaford, and that would be RCOG, so a gynecologist, who was totally pro-abortion, studied the research between abortion and breast cancer. And you know what he printed? Actually, they actually printed this in the London Times on that date. You know what he said? Women who have an abortion turn up in a group with 4 times as much breast cancer as those who don't. And that to me, and to any normal person without an agenda, says there is a link between abortion and breast cancer. And he admitted it, and he published it in the London Times. Now this man did his research. I'll also tell you this, there's a Patrick Carroll, an actuarian, who looked at the research. He looked at the statistics on abortion statistics of young women. You're talking about women, say, between the age of 20 and 30. 10 years later, so it's a 10-year latency period, very rapid for cancer. He looked at the breast cancer figures for the same age group. And he can predict with practically 100% accuracy the numbers of breast cancers. And he has done this in England, Ireland, Wales, and other countries. He can predict accurately, up to 100% accuracy, the numbers of cancers from the numbers of abortions. It's all, the water is flowing under that bridge already, but the population controllers, particularly in Southeast Asia and in China and in Africa, they couldn't care less about cancer. They couldn't care less that every day thousands of women will wake up to discover they have breast cancer after having an abortion 10 years previously. And the link is patently obvious in India, where women get married young, they breastfeed and they have children very quickly. And they're not complicated so much with the pill and other hormone use and so on. For example, 5 years use of the pill doubles your risk of breast cancer and so on. So they're not complicating factors in Southeast Asia studies, which came out in 2013. And in some of those studies, and they were comparing rural with urban women, the difference was 20 times more breast cancer after abortion. So none of this is immaterial. The people who told you that there was no link, I gave you the link on Hush. That's the NIH, the National Institute of Health. It's in the Hush film. It's on YouTube. You can see it.
Who were the National Institute of Health?
That's the government-funded National Institute of Health in America, which gave you the incredible fact that there's no link between tobacco and lung cancer. And they are the best lobby group that money can buy. And they were bought up by the tobacconists in the southern states, Texas and so on. So they did what they were paid to do, and they said there was no link between tobacco and lung cancer. And they were saying this years after the Surgeon General in the United States was saying tobacco causes cancer. The people who had been paid, the NIH, the same people who were paid by the population controllers to keep down third world population in favour of the New World Order and American interests, they have been paid and bought over, and they are saying they're denying all the research since 1957 showing a link between abortion and breast cancer. And based on one study, which was never published and never even peer reviewed, one study in comparison with hundreds of studies, this is what's supposed to have made a U-turn in scientific discovery. That doesn't happen. There's no such way of dogmatically changing the facts.
May I ask you a very general question?
Does that bother you?
I listened to everything you say. I'm taking it in.
Are you taking it in?
And you've given me names and dates and studies that I can check out.
What's your initial reaction to that? Is it just you don't believe it?
Well, as I said, I didn't come here to have a debate. I'm interested in listening to what you have to say. And anything you do say, if the studies I want to refer to, I will, of course, look them up and I'll do my research. Can I ask you a very general question? It's not about the ultrasound.
Here are the studies.
Sir, and I will look them up. Can I ask you a very general question?
About the ultrasound, is it?
Not about the ultrasound.
Okay. Let me first answer your question on the ultrasound.
Okay, carry on.
So this is a letter that we are writing to all the doctors. Yeah. I'll give you this letter, you can take it with you.
Okay, thank you.
Please allow me to introduce our service to you in light of the recent statements by medical insurers for pregnancy services to be offered and conditions covered by them. We wish to offer you for the first quarter of this year free ultrasounds for any pregnant women you refer to us. We've been organising this service not last month, as the New York Times said, more phony journalism.
The London Times, maybe?
New York Times, in which they lied. The journalist said that we had a shabby backstreet facility, and she never was even inside the place. She never saw it inside. So the Spiegel is not alone in this.
This is based on North Brunswick Street in Burnham?
No, Berkeley Street.
Berkeley Street, number 9, yeah.
This journalist, Chelan Yaginsu, a reporter for the New York Times, published on the 28th of January, described the inside of our clinic, and she'd never been inside. So I'm just wondering what kind of psycho-paranormal power she had to be able to make that description. So Glass, the spirit of Glass is still around. Remember young Glass?
Oh yeah, I do, yeah.
So it's still around, live and kicking in the Spiegel and New York Times. But listen to this. This is what we're offering. Not just last month, not just last year. We've been around before this phony operation of Simon Harris set up in January. We've been around 20 years, okay? So we have been doing this for 20 years for women in crisis. This will enable doctors to fulfill their ethical and legal obligations, thus minimizing the risk of litigation because of failure of fiduciary duty of care to patients. Fiduciary duty of care means the doctor has to put himself in the patient's situation and inform her of all the information that a reasonable patient would want to be told, such as, I could get cancer if I have an abortion. That's why all the abortions carried out so far are illegal, because no women have been told this, and they have a right to know. And as we say in the letter, as you know, a whole minefield opens up due to legal requirements for doctors to be able to prove in writing that informed consent is obtained. It's not enough to say, oh, here, you can get cancer, here, just sign the bottom. She may not be taking that in. She may be in a state of duress. She may be under pressure from the boyfriend, the mother, or the sister, and she's not able to listen. You, the doctor, have to prove that she understood what you were communicating. So ticking off boxes doesn't prove it. So you have to be aware that ticking the box on a consent form is not a legal defence in court. This is not going to save you from 14 years imprisonment or being struck off. It must be proven that the patient fully listened to and understood the information given. This means time, which we can save you. Doctors haven't got time for this. So we're saving them. We can do this for you and provide legally acceptable proof that it is done for each patient you send us. In other words, they will obtain the information that they need to be told, such as what is pregnancy, having a baby.
And if they send a patient...
And what will abortion do to the baby?
You carry out an ultrasound.
We will carry out an ultrasound. They will see the baby on the ultrasound and they will hear the heartbeat.
And is the ultrasound service new, or has that been on the
20 years.
20 years.
20 years, as I've said in the letter.
And may I ask you, who carries out the ultrasound?
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Let me finish the letter. So, in other words, to have an informed consent, let me just show you what a consent form looks like for an abortion. Okay, you can keep all this. This is what we would give to a woman normally. So, just skipping down through that, the nature and purpose of an abortion, the procedures, the risks involved, and the possibilities of complications have all been fully explained to me. Now, ticking that is not a legal defence. This has to be done. You can't do that in 2 minutes. So, the nature means, first of all, the nature of pregnancy. What is pregnancy? Let's just run through it very briefly. What is pregnancy?
Well, carry on. I'm not going to define what pregnancy is.
What would a child tell you if she saw a woman with a big tummy?
Well, carry on and make your point. Yeah.
I can't do it unless you answer the question.
Well, listen.
I'm trying to explain what informed consent is required to know. What is pregnancy?
Okay.
In any ways you want to explain it, you should know what that is.
Well,
I mean, you're 40 years of age. Please. Come on. Don't tell me you don't know what pregnancy is.
Can I just say obviously, you're making your point.
I'm not making a point. No, I'm trying to explain how a woman reaches informed consent, how a doctor obtains informed consent.
And you're trying to establish your point.
No, I'm not. I just want to know the truth.
But
can you tell me?
If you start asking me lots of follow-up questions...
No, just 3 questions.
You know, I understand around about what are the 3 questions?
What is pregnancy?
What's the second question?
Let's just go first. This is the nature. I'm going through these informed consent. What's required? What is pregnancy?
I don't want to get into answering all these side questions. I'm very, very happy to listen to you to make your point and establish your argument.
I'm not establishing an argument. I'm establishing a truth.
Of course, and the argument you may believe may be based on truth.
No, it is only the truth.
Well, certainly, but everyone has their own argument.
Okay, supposing you're not able to answer the question, let me answer it for you. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, okay? What is pregnancy? Having a baby? Is that okay?
Carry on with your point, yeah.
No, am I okay with that?
No, I want you to carry on making your point.
Okay, the second question then is, first of all, what is pregnancy? Having a baby. Then we do baby development. We show what's involved in the development of the baby. In other words, we would show what a baby might look like at an early stage, baby model or something like that.
Yeah.
For example, here.
Yeah.
Okay. What stage is that?
And we've seen all these, certainly, yeah.
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Do you know what stage that is?
Well, as I said, I don't want to start answering lots of side questions.
No, I don't want to make it difficult for you.
I'm happy to listen to you to make your point.
We go through the development of the baby at whatever stage she's at, or will be, or could be at very shortly. So, what is pregnancy? Most normal people will say having a baby, and then we would show development, and we would show the ultrasound on a video, perhaps. The second question would be, what will abortion do to the baby?
Carry on.
Most normal people would say it will kill the baby. That's what's in the law, actually, isn't it? In the Act. You know that.
I'm not responding to this. I want you to continue making your point.
So, any normal person would say it will kill the baby. And then we would show exactly what that involved, for example, date. And then we would say, you may be wondering, for example, would there be any pain involved? Would that be, you consider that a normal concern that a woman might have if the baby was to go through pain?
Well, again, I'm not responding to that. I'm not going to answer side questions.
So most women do want to know if the baby will suffer. You know, people are humane even about animals. They don't like dogs or cats to be cruelly tortured or experimented upon or suffer. And there is a law to protect animals from cruelty, but it doesn't apply to babies in the womb. As you know, because here any amendments to bring in anesthesia for the baby during the abortion were shut down by our barbaric criminal government. So basically, the pain response would be explained. Now, just to show you, this is from a textbook on embryology. So this is 7 weeks and this is 9 weeks. They've touched the baby's back with a needle and it turns away. Here they've touched the lip and the palms with a needle and it turns away.
What's the textbook?
I'll give you the actually research paper which you might like to look up. It's 1994, Giannakoulopoulos, Giannakoulopoulos, 1994. Giannakoulopoulos proves they put a needle into a baby in the womb and they found it had a 590% pain response. Okay? So that means it suffered 6 times more than you or I would suffer. The reason being that the nerves that feel pain develop before those that inhibit the pain. So the inhibitors don't develop till you're 5, 6 years old fully. That's why a lot of people think when a child falls and they start bawling that they are actually putting on, that they're exaggerating. Not at all. They do feel more pain even at 5 or 6 years of age. But in the womb, it's 6 times, 590% pain response at 8 weeks. Okay? So you don't even have to go to 21 weeks, where we're talking about here, 21 weeks. So women are concerned that the baby may suffer horrific pain when it's being ripped apart. For example, the reason why I have tape on this is the leg broke, but tape doesn't fix it in this situation. And it's a lifelong memory. So let's go to the third question, will we? First question, recapping and giving you your answers which you didn't give, but which a normal person would give. What is pregnancy? Having a baby.
I'm a pretty normal person, Ellen.
You just are not cooperating.
Well, again, I'm happy to listen to the points.
Would you be willing to even try and answer the third question?
Tell me what the third question is, but I'm not going to respond to it. Yeah.
The first question is, what is pregnancy? Having a baby. Even the New York Times journalist admitted that. Second question, what will abortion do to him or her, your baby? As we have seen, it will kill the baby. Okay? And generally speaking, in a very painful manner. And the third question is that fair to the baby?
Carry on, yeah.
Is it fair?
I said I'm not responding to...
But you have an idea of the concept of fair, have you? You know, right and wrong?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
So basically, part of that would be you don't do to another person what you wouldn't want done to yourself. That's the universal principle, the golden rule. So, is this something you would like done to yourself? The answer that most reasonable people who are conscientious would say, it's not fair to the baby. That's what 99% of women would say. It's not fair. And there may be an adjoinder, they may say, but what about me? So in that situation, the answer reveals they're going against their conscience and their values about what's right and wrong, what's fair to a baby, and they have a conflict. So what you have there is ambivalence and conflicted decision and going against their values, which are predictors of post-traumatic stress after the abortion, what's known as post-abortion syndrome, which is denied by the lunatic fringe here. It exists. People get flashbacks, they get anniversary reactions, they get depression, they get suicidal, they commit suicide. This is not invented. This is the fact that women need to be told for informed consent. That is why the abortions carried out early this year are illegal. Because no, those women have not been told any of this evidence. If you were a patient and you came to me as a doctor and I said, here, take these, that'll get rid of all your problems. And I omitted to mention that this is strychnine, by the way, it kills people, but it will get rid of all your problems. Wouldn't I be guilty of negligence, of malpractice? if I gave you those tablets? If, for example, I gave you the abortion pill and I didn't give you this information here, for example, the numbers of women who died, if I gave you medication and I just neglected to say that women died from it, would you have an informed consent? No. So under Section 21 of the Act, that is illegal, and the punishment is 14 years in prison once it's proven. And I can already prove it. I've spoken to doctors since January. I have the evidence, and we will be going to court. So if people want to avoid that, they need to tell women that.
You're going to be going to court?
In 2013,
would you mind expanding on that?
A 31-year-old adolescent woman died approximately 1 month after initiation. There's a lot of interesting stuff here.
Well, patience. Can I ask you about the court?
A 31-year-old adolescent woman died approximately 1 month after the medication, the poisons that she was given, which are being given out now. 31-year-old adolescent. A 16-year-old adolescent woman died 5 to 6 days after the medications. A woman died some days, these are all different cases. A woman died some days after initiation of a medical abortion regime of Mrs. Bristol and Mrs. Price. A 21-year-old previously healthy white woman, 7 weeks gestation, died 12 days after initiation of the regimen. A 29-year-old white Hispanic woman, 5 weeks, that's 35 days gestation, died 6 days after initiation of an unapproved regimen. 24-year-old, this is from the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, they're the American statistics.
Can I ask you about the court action you're planning?
A 24-year-old previously healthy woman, 8.5 weeks gestation, died 7 days after the medication. An 18-year-old previously healthy woman. Do you care the fact that these women died and they weren't told?
I'm listening to you, and as you said, you're giving me the opportunity to take the literature with me, and I will by all means read it. But
what I'm saying, those things prove. If you were a patient,
about your court action?
Well, I'm just telling you about what the basis of the court action is.
Yes,
if you came to me and I just gave you pop these pills, and I didn't tell you that women died, would you have an informed consent?
Well, I'm not responding to your question.
Okay, but any normal person would say no. Any law.
I think we established, I regard myself as normal enough.
Would you not able to answer questions? But you're only able to ask questions.
You'll understand the reason I don't want to understand lots of side questions. Because
I understand that you're pushing a anti-woman regime because you're not doing anything to protect women.
It's a rhetorical way, if you ask lots of follow-up questions, of cornering someone in an argument.
Not rhetorical questions, they're simple questions. They're yes or no answers. So
can I ask about what's happening in the courts? What's happening there?
Look, what I'm telling you is...
Are you taking someone to court?
Listen to this. This is the basis of the court.
You're not taking someone to court. I'm just going to assume you're not.
You're very good at avoiding questions. Just read my lips. You'll see it when it happens. But listen to this. We can do this.
Will it be under your own name or an organisation's name if you're taking someone to court?
So, continuing the letter. This needs time which we can save you. We can do this for you and provide legally acceptable proof that it is done for each patient you send us. GPs will only then be able to prove that they have fulfilled their duty of referral and the duty to do no harm. You know that in their oath, the Hippocratic oath, to do no harm to the woman or to her child in the womb. By what is an elective procedure and to minimise the risk of legal proceedings, should you refer to any doctor, so even if they are not doing themselves, if they refer to any doctor who's failing to do this, they are negligent. So if you refer to any doctor who fails to be able to prove fully informed consent obtained, rate all the actual and possible sequelae, as in mental, emotional and physical. And in other words, what I'm saying, anything that has been peer-reviewed, published research sequelae of abortion has to be told to the woman. It doesn't regard the percentage of incidents. For example, if the sequelae is death, as in those cases of the women who died from medical abortions, medication abortions, there's nothing medical about it, it's just a euphemism. So it doesn't matter what the percentage is. Each of those women were how much affected? 100% affected. They were dead. They had to be. They were never told. Women have to be told because they will be 100% affected.
May I ask you a question?
Just let me give you the quote from the Act. Offences under the Act, Section 21, informed consent. Unless you can prove otherwise, lack of consent means assault and can lead not only to prosecution but also to civil liability for personal injuries, etc. So under section 21, and inter alia effect on mental health, depression, possible suicide, ideation and actual attempts, proof of fully informed consent is a sine qua non for security for every GP as well as every woman. It is legally and ethically obligatory. A woman refusing to know is no defence for the GP. If a woman says, I don't want to know that I could die, that's not defence for the GP. If she dies, and if she's operated on without informed consent, that is equivalent to assault and battery and unlawful killing. Therefore, it needs to be recorded and provable by witnesses that it was given and understood fully. We are here to help. Please contact me anytime on that number.